I'm your cult boyfriend, talking to you about season 3 of Veronica Mars today. Where to start? Where to start? Analyzing Veronica Mars has been kind of different or weird for me because I find that I tend to hyper focus on single arcs. Like in season 2 in that video, I was really into talking about Cassidy Casablancas for 40 minutes and then everybody else for the remaining three, Like I spend most of my time devoted to one character. Um, that's just the way that Veronica Mars hits me. It hits everyone differently. All shows hit different people differently. When I was covering One Tree Hill, I was mainly devoted to Lucas, Dan, and Peyton. When I did the OC, well, the OC was a bit easier to talk about everybody because they were like super connected, and um, the OC is as an outlier, as an outsider in this analytical bubble. But with Veronica Mars and like One Tree Hill, I tend to focus on the characters that I think were best expressed in that particular season, which also can inform you that just because I haven't spent a lot of time on a certain character, like Logan, for instance. I love Logan. Haven't spent a whole lot of time on Logan because I'm kind of waiting to, because there's so many things to say about his character that I don't think are fully expressed until later seasons and later media. I think that starting with the film, I'll have a lot more to say about Logan, but certainly in the season 4 analysis video, I'll have a hell of a lot to say about Logan and Veronica and that relationship, because that's where I think that their relationship is fully explored and deconstructed and analyzed and challenged in some really irreversible ways, right? Like in season 2, I spent most of my time on Cassidy because that was his time to shine. That was his highlight. That was the magnifying glass over his demented psychology, and I went for it. And by the way, that video fucked me up. Like, being around Cassidy Casablancas for that long, and that like intimately, uh, I hope you enjoyed that insight, because my season 2 analysis video of Veronica Mars almost drove me insane. It took a little while to bounce back from getting really close to Cassidy, like I did for that video. This video is less intense, right? This season is less intense. This season isn't very good. It's not bad, not by any means. It suffers from the same problem that a lot of shows suffer from. A lot of teen dramas suffer from this. Everything's great in high school, and then when you move to college, things are a bit different. And if you've watched my other analysis videos where they try to make this transition from high school to college, then you'll already know what I'm about to say. So I won't drone on too long about this point, but I'll just kind of provide you with the basics of my criticisms of college teen drama. High school is this like the great equalizer for writers in a lot of ways, because you can have a super privileged, extremely rich individual like Logan Eccles sitting right next to a future career criminal like Weevil. Like, those two are forced to inhabit the same spaces, and it's a much more confrontational dynamic, and it's one that's not voluntary. Like, you have to go to high school, you have to go to school. Um, but that adds for a lot more. It gives you quite a few chances to do a lot of postmodern studies into these kind of character dynamics, especially when you're dealing with class or social stratification, which Veronica Mars was. And One Tree Hill did the same thing, but One Tree Hill infamously did a time jump and skipped high school, or I'm sorry, skipped college altogether. Veronica Mars decided to bite the bullet, like Dawson's Creek or Buffy the Vampire Slayer did, and tried to go to college. And just like Buffy and Dawson's Creek, it stumbled a bit because you don't have the same sort of fruitful, complicated, effortless like playing field that high school offers these tales of class and of like youthful hysterical struggles. It College doesn't offer those same kinds of situations. College is also far more nihilistic and cynical than high school is. Films like Gossip definitely get this point across pretty well. Veronica Mars is definitely a pretty cynical show. So that's why its transition to college isn't as like universe rattling, isn't as upsetting as like Dawson's Creek transition to college, which really took a few trips. They tripped and stumbled all through their final two seasons, and Buffy didn't fare too much better either. In fact, the best parts of season four, the college season of Buffy, the best episodes are the Faith ones, you know. But that's almost because those episodes don't really have anything to do with college. I'll be covering Buffy in the future, so don't worry, I'll go into season four there. But Veronica Mars is this cynical look at the postmodern teen mindset, post Columbine and post 9/11, and you can translate that into a college setting. It just works a lot better in a high school one. I like that. Like Weevil and Logan aren't sharing; they're sharing the same space in high school because they go to the same school. I don't like that Logan and Weevil now occupy the same space because Weevil cleans his toilets. Like it doesn't work as well. It really doesn't. Leaves a sour taste in the mouth. Um, Now that does sound a bit cynical, but it also is much more contrived. But Veronica Mars being cynical, there are certain themes in the third season that are interestingly developed. Firstly, it's a theme that has been constant. Veronica Mars, this teenage private eye, right? Seeking retribution and justice. What does justice mean to teenagers who have come into maturity, who are coming of age in a world that feels random, unpredictable, and unforgiving, and full of violence and nihilism? Like, what does justice mean? Well, justice means payback. You get tough, you get even. And I think the best episode of season three is probably the final one, The Bitch is Back, which revenge as payback is I think fully realized in that episode. That's the one where Veronica makes a secret society pay for exposing Veronica on a sex tape, which goes hand in hand with the other theme that's constant through Veronica Mars that is really fascinating as well, which is that of privacy. What does privacy mean to kids? We're all really sensitive, but we're terribly insecure, and I don't just mean that emotionally. I mean, um, we're not as guarded, as protected as we'd like to be, but nothing surprises us anymore. Not really. Veronica Mars spends most of her time exposing the secrets of Neptune, California, prying into people's lives, digging around, spying on them, and revealing them to the world. And that is a part of justice. That is payback, which is exposure. But when it happens to Veronica, clearly it's a crime. Clearly it's something that's unforgivable and distasteful, and payback is needed. It's really interesting when we try to view the character of Veronica into these different parts, where for someone who attacks privacy as the major weak point on all of her foes, on all of her enemies and antagonists, uh, she is such a sensitive person. She likes to act extremely tough, but she's just as sensitive to everyone else, and her privacy is just as easy to penetrate, just as easily penetrated as anyone else. And she could be the victim just as easily as she could be the hero. But that's the thing about Veronica Mars. You can't victimize her. She doesn't believe in that mentality. She gets tough and she gets even. But privacy is always an interesting concept inside of Veronica Mars, especially when you consider post Columbine, post 9/11, and some of the things that Veronica is doing do seem to give way in a cheeky, cynical format to wiretaps, to governments spying on their citizens, to the privacy that we were losing as a culture, as a nation in this exact time period. Uh, it gets into some murky waters there, but Veronica, this is a deeply sophisticated character. And she's such a sensitive hero. She's my hero, honestly, but um I think her primary flaw is being found out, and what she's best at is finding others out, you know? Her primary weakness, like the thing she's afraid of most is losing her privacy, and the thing she thrives upon is attacking others' privacy. It's interesting. If I were to hyper focus on one character this season, well, first of all, let me get this out of the way. Not a whole lot of characters had a lot to do this season that I think was interesting. This season has a lot of problems. Its major problem is one of structure and focus. Several of these problems, like the biggest ones, do feel like network notes, like studio notes, and that sucks. You know, Veronica Mars got canceled after this season. Um, But luckily, the fans, the Veronica Mars marshmallows are the best people in the universe because they brought her back to life a few times. But it was canceled after this season, and everyone thought it was the end, but luckily, Tinkerbell always comes back to life, right? But I feel like it has to be a network decision to have this strange structure with this complete weird focus. I would say lack of focus, but I do feel like it's focused. It's just it's muddled. It's unclear. There is a focus, um, only because the first two seasons, the structure, the pacing, the focus was perfectly done. You had your overall narrative, your overall mystery: who killed Lily Kane, who blew up the bus, you know, who's the mad cheerleader killer, and who's the mad bomber. You know, you had your Aaron Eccles and Cassidy Casablanca's big bads. Uh, and why season two is my favorite season is because there would be these bottle episodes, right, where there would be a contained mystery to a single episode while paying service to forward the overarching narrative. Um, in the first season, those kind of bottled problems didn't exactly speak to the overall mystery, but in season two, and that's why it's the best one, half the time she'd be investigating certain kids that died on that bus, and kind of it would help to develop our image of these kids on this bus. And really, we would, as an audience, we would devote more of our own time away from the show, kind of trying to figure out who did it, and really feel for the kids a lot more, you know? But the point is, the focus and the structure was perfect, and it peaked when it was supposed to peak. It hit everything. It was so fucking good. Some of the best structural decisions I've ever seen are in Veronica Mars season two, and Veronica Mars season one is also excellently structured, and the focus is there. The focus is on Lily Kane for season one and on the bus for season two. The focus, it never wavers. It never even seems unsure of itself, even when the plot is sending you down a back alley in a wrong way, dead end fucking road of a mystery, just to bring you back. Like, it was really well structured. This season, there are too many things going on. Uh, None of the villains are well developed, and I wish I didn't say like a pluralized version of villain, because they should have picked one. They have multiple different big mysteries going on that get solved really, really fast without giving us enough time to really think about it. And it doesn't feel as complicated as the previous Veronica Mars big mysteries, and yet they somehow feel more convoluted. You know, I'm not invested in Mercer at all. Mercer is like the first one. He is the campus rapist. Mercer sucks. I mean, Mercer is kind of the best developed out of all the villains here, but like in the third season, but I fucking he's empty, he's weak. And if you didn't know he was the rapist when they dressed him up as Alex DeLarge from Clockwork Orange, I don't know what to tell you. It couldn't have been more obvious. But also his mystery, his story, them her finding him out couldn't have been more contrived and convoluted. And then, like it was solved so fast, you know? I thought that was going to be our overall narrative for the whole season. And maybe it would have been cool if they had done something differently, but it feels like a network was like, no, wrap that up. People aren't responding to that. Start a different one. So they started a Tim Foyle fucking bullshit murder thing. And I hate Tim Foyle. It was cool to see the same actor that played Lucky in the second season come back to play Tim in this one. But that's another big bad that happens immediately after the rapist thing is figured out. And that gets solved. And when Tim Foyle gets solved, there's nothing. They forget to start something. They forget to start a new mystery, or they just like the focus. Like I can't say it's not there because it's there. Maybe it's dedicated to this like notion of privacy that I'm talking about because that's what the whole finale is devoted to exploring. This like this very hypocritical and very sensitive and hurt part of Veronica that deals with her sexual privacy. That's a fascinating thing to go into, but Veronica Mars, what the fuck? There are too many big stories going on. Why do you have so many fucking stories going on? And why do both of the big mysteries that feel like they're supposed to last the whole season only last like 7 episodes each? And why are the big bads so terrible? Why does Tinfoil and Mercer, why do they suck so much? They're not interesting. I loved Cassidy Casablancas. Beeve, my bro, dude. I loved Cassidy. Fucking sick in the head, but I could get lost in that character's psychology, dude. Like, he was amazing. And Aaron Eccles was an excellent first villain. Oh my god, he was great in the first season. My lord. And you did so well with those characters. I was keeping it so unexpected, yet seemingly fair. But I know it's unfair because we're pulling from noir, which makes it such a cynical kind of show, and I love you for that. Season 3, though, why? Just fucking why? Why fumble the ball twice in a row and then just forget that you're playing a game, like a mystery? You introduced two pretty big things. It would have been cool if they connected at all. You introduced two pretty big mysteries. You solved them both by the middle of the season, and then you forgot. You forgot to do something else. And we're just hanging out, I guess, after that, solving like little mysteries here and there. Wow, like that's why I don't think this is like the fault of Rob Thomas, because if the first two seasons taught us anything, is that he definitely knows how to structure a season of television, a series of teen drama, private investigator mystery. Like he knows how to do that. And this feels like the CW as a network in its early age, just acquiring Veronica Mars, being like, "Oh no, this isn't working. We don't like that. Okay, wrap that up quick. Start this other one. Oh, that didn't work either. Wrap that up. Just focus on the romance. That's what people seem to talk about. They seem to talk about Team Piz or Team Logan. Do that." And it's like, fuck, you you just killed yourself, show. Man, that sucks. And so in a lot of ways, there are so many arcs that don't feel complete because this doesn't feel like a fully considered season. It feels like perhaps Rob Thomas had an idea of something different, and this is what we got instead, which is, fine. In the long run, it's fine because I don't even hate this season. I have fun with these characters, I just mentioned Piz. He's a new character who I like. I like Piz, but he's no Logan. But then again, Logan's no Logan this season. They fucking cut his balls off, dude. But I'm gonna have to go into Logan in season 4 because it plays into it. Like Veronica is far more attracted to Logan when he is being extremely violent and toxic, and he finds that out later on. And in this season, he's definitely like super sensitive and trying to behave himself extremely well, and it works against his character. Although one of my favorite episodes, I think, well, not episodes, one of my favorite parts of the entire series is the few scenes that he shares with a little girl whose older sister was like off in Vegas, like doing God knows what with Dick Casablancas, and they left the little girl there with him. And it was when he was going through a breakup with Veronica, and they form a really cool bond, and that's really cool. Seeing Jason Doring in that episode is just marvelous stuff, dude. Fucking loved it. It opened up a lot of ideas and all new sensitive regions for the character of Logan Eccles. That's pretty cool. But overall, he feels like, I mean, he should be traumatized considering what he went through in his final 2 years of high school, but he's not the same Logan. He is not, not at all. But Piz is also like, who's Piz? Who's Piz supposed to be? Is Piz supposed to be like the male viewer watching the show? And like they can like live out some cinematic fantasy with Veronica Mars? Because there's nothing else to him, but I do like him. I think that he's a charming character, and I think he has a few like really real things to say, you know, like if it's not real, why do it? I do like Piz. I do. Uh, I even like him in the film, but we'll get there later. I think due to this weird structure. The one character who I think has a fully considered and fleshed out arc, kind of, as much of an arc as this idiot can have, is Dick Casablancas. And it's also an arc that taps into an interesting psychology that I've never had the opportunity to identify with before. Um, Dick Casablancas is really going through it, like really bad. He's in self-destruct mode. He's in fuck the world mode, and he's ruined internally over his brother's suicide and the fact that his brother was a mad bomber murderer, a psychopath. He doesn't. He blames himself, rightfully so. But here's the thing, Dick. Well, he's a dick, but Dick is also an idiot. He's also possibly the most stupid man on the planet. So he's going through all of these things, but he's not going through them poetically, which makes it like kind of heartbreaking. It's like you have to imagine that Beeve is always on his mind, right? Because he has these weird breaks of character, like Logan, who are you talking to on the phone? Parker. Parker. Hardly even know her. Hey Logan. Um, did you try to stop my brother when he jumped off the roof and killed himself? Out of nowhere, he says that. He can't poetically engage with these ideas. He shows up, he says that Beaver never cared about you, Mac. You were just his beard. Humiliates her because, of course, Beaver has to be haunting her as well. Oh, and by the way, Mac has quite a healthy and energetic sex life in the third season. But Dick isn't like Mac. Dick doesn't have like a single brain cell. Or if he has one, it's fried all the time. I love Dick. Go ahead, clip that. Clip me saying I love Dick because I fucking love Dick Casablancas a lot. Ryan Hansen does an incredible job this season. He gets these few moments and they're sprinkled in between, like over a long, like in the first episode, he brings up beef. Then we wait like a lot of episodes before he casually brings it up again. And then when his father, Richard, finally comes back to be like, son, what are you doing here? I'm going to jail. Dick lets him have it. Dick goes in there like eyes red, like looking like he wants to punch holes in every wall across America out of frustration. He shows up and he's like, Dad, why you weren't even there for Beeve's funeral? For Cassidy's funeral, you weren't even there. You and I, Dad, we used to have contests to see who could make him cry first. I duct taped his hands and legs to a bicycle, and I forgot about him. And I looked out hours later, and he was just spinning around in circles, just riding that bike around in circles, terrified, traumatized, humiliated, and ashamed. Dick blames himself for that death. Dick blames himself for that suicide. Dick hates himself for what he did. The only problem is that Dick is too idiotic to really confront those things about his brother. in a way that could help him evolve as an archetype. It's really fascinating, actually, and this isn't a criticism. If you did anything else with Dick, it would have been dishonest. This is perfect. Like normally, the himbo toxic as fuck dude, that archetype doesn't get these moments of introspection. So when you give him a traumatic event to try to recover from, he doesn't have the tools to do it. He doesn't know how to do it. Dick doesn't know how to get better. He apologizes to Mac and then immediately tries to kiss her because he's drunk, and then you have to doubt the legitimacy of that apology. Dick is too idiotic to actually have character development. And you can probably transpose that concept over to class. Some people are just too wealthy and just too spoiled to have any like true emotional growth. Dick Casablancas, there is a tragedy to Dick Casablancas. There's a big tragedy to Dick Casablancas. It's the tragedy of existential inertia, and it's the tragedy of idiocy. He's too much of an idiot to understand that he can't process the emotions that he has. And like Logan has these tender moments where he tries to reach out to him, but there's no way Logan knows how to make him feel better either. Let's go to the beach, let's go surf or something. It's kind of like when Dick tries to cheer up Logan, but like Dick clearly lacks empathy and like doesn't know what to do to help anyone. It's these two guys, Logan and Dick, who like want to be friends with each other, and they are friends, but they lack the necessary empathetic tools to heal each other. And watching Dick go through this season, having to rationalize and come to terms with his psychopathic brother's suicide, it's occasionally heartbreaking, and it's like immediate too because it's urgent. There's an urgency to Dick Casablanca's emotions in this because it comes at you when you don't expect it to. Because he's always full of some piece of shit dick thing to say, right? And then you never know when he's going to just turn into this deeply hurt and like heartbroken older brother. Like you never know when that's going to happen, and when it does in this season, it's immensely powerful. So Ryan Hansen, cheers to you, mate. You were incredible here, and I think that's a fully considered arc. Like it's as much of an arc as Dick Casablancas could ever get. And you may call it incomplete, but I would say that the fact that it is incomplete makes it tragic and it makes it a lot more truthful and much more postmodern. I like the fact that I don't think Dick has closure or that he's even smart enough to understand what closure means, let alone how to come to it, like how to actually have closure over his brother. I really like Dick in this season. Kristen Bell is perfect, like, in every episode. I hardly even think of Kristen Bell, right? Like, and she's, like, a massive celebrity. I think of Veronica Mars every time I see her. Like, she's not Kristen Bell, she's Veronica Mars when she's here, and she does so incredibly. So many beautiful moments with Veronica. Um, Actually, a lot of beautiful moments between Veronica and Dick this season. It's really, really cool. When they're on the elevator alone and they share a flask. And like later when she's like, you, after all these years, how do you not instinctively fear me? Like the bitch is back, man. I love Kristen Bell here. Veronica Mars. It's interesting because she got to come to this college and be like a different person, obviously, or herself, like authentically and as close to authentic as she could be as a 19-year-old private investigator. But in her old school, right, she was an outsider. She was an outcast. She was the champion of the misfits. Here, she had a chance to reinvent herself, but by the end of that, like a sex tape was leaked of her and Piz, and I think that that opportunity went out the window. I think that's what hurts her the most because she finally got the chance to reinvent herself. She finally had a chance to live outside of the shadow of Lily Kane, which seemed to dominate and just haunt her every waking moment, or every part of her life in high school. And it seemed like she had finally gotten over that Lily Kane vendetta with the vengeance that was constantly on her mind, and she could reinvent herself. And perhaps that's why the series got a bit more laid back and lacked a little bit of focus and definitely an overall narrative with the singular big bad. Because she was having a chance to be with Piz and try something different and like reinvent herself as this new woman who doesn't have to avenge Lily Kane's death at every moment of her life. And that's what The Bitch is Back, I think, is so good and why it's one of the best Veronica Mars episodes. It's so good at bringing Lily Kane back effortlessly because her privacy is challenged, and the fact that sex tape challenges the privacy, it also completely deteriorates and crushes this new reinvention of herself, which isn't like a fake version of herself. She was just more confident being who she was, and like people were more mature around her, and a lot more of them accepted her. She still made enemies a lot, but it was a different kind of thing. She didn't have this dark cloud of Lily Kane hanging over her, like following her every step. But when that sex tape leaked, she tracked it back to its source, and what does she see? She sees that it's at Jake Kane's mansion with a huge painting of Lily Kane. She'll always be there, Veronica. You can't escape your destiny, your fate. You can't escape your philosophy. You thought you got rid of Lily Kane. You thought you got rid of that nihilistic, super cynical edge to your character, to your cynical makeup. You didn't. She's right there, and she's forcing herself back in your life in this way. That's a theme that we'll have a lot more to talk about in the film. Not necessarily Lily Kane, but the idea that Veronica Mars can't abandon the role she was born to play out in Neptune, California. But that's something that we'll have to wait for the film to really explore. Oh, before this ends or anything, the new awful version of the theme, uh I'm so happy I don't have to listen to that again. It's so bad. It's so bad. Would you call it like minimalist? I just call it like nausea inducing. I don't like it. I like the original version. Well, season 4 had a good version of the intro too. Season three's intro, I think that all fans of Veronica Mars can agree is like, ew, gross, get it away from me, kill it with fire. Oh yeah, Sheriff Lamb got killed unceremoniously. He got killed off. From what I've been able to read, the actor was kind of a dick and had extremely loose lips when it came to keeping secrets about the show, and they just killed him off, which is fine. Jerry O'Connell replaced him pretty easily when the film came around, so like it's not a huge loss, but it's just another instance of parts of this season don't feel considered at all. You know, like oh, just killing him off like at your first convenience without any uh, idea of what's truly cinematic, because it's like, oh, wow, really? Okay, he's dead. Well, okay, well, you could have done something more with that death. It's just something else that feels a little half considered about this series. Um, the series lacks a lot of what makes the first two seasons great. Uh, which doesn't make season 3 bad. It just makes it the worst season of Veronica Mars. I think that the film's better. I think that season 4 is better. And the first two seasons are a hell of a lot better than season 3. I think the books are better than season 3. It tries to make these earnest investigations through like a Stanford prison experiment, right? With Ryder Strong from Freaks and Geeks, and the kid from no, I'm sorry, Ryder Strong from Boy Meets World, and the Jewish kid from Freaks and Geeks, who I love. I love both of those people a lot, and like the dynamic between um like aggressive male dominant and passive male uh feminine, and like I like that a lot, especially when it comes into play with Mercer later on. Like that's cool. That's cool. Um, it's just not done right. Is all I'm saying. It's just not done right. But that's a cool concept, and I actually like that concept a lot. But overall, season three trips and stumbles, but hey, it's still good. Like, I do like the atmosphere of the college. I like the look of the library. I like the feel of the dorm rooms. I do like it, aesthetically. And perhaps if we got another season, like right then and there, we could have done college justice, you know? We could have done some more things with those characters in that setting that would have justified season three's kind of weak uh weaknesses, which really just overwhelms well, always overwhelms my experience of the third season. Is that the weaknesses, I think, you you have they're impossible not to notice, even when you're trying to be extremely charitable. It's a good season. It's fine. Um, but it's certainly the weakest point of Veronica Mars in all of media, film, books, television. It's the weakest thing that Veronica Mars has ever been a part of. So yeah, but hey, I don't hate it at all. Um, there are some interesting things. We've been talking for quite a long time, so definitely makes you think. Thank you for watching. I'll be back in a week to talk about. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. We're talking about the film. Talking about the film. Talking about the film Veronica Mars, which I love. I think it's really good. So that'll be cool. That'll be really cool, and I'll see you then. Thank you for watching me. It's always cool to have you guys around. Peace, motherfucker.